And I'm struggling because we are living in a time right now when we have to navigate spaces that many of us may not be comfortable with because of the times that we grew up in, but we have to. But I'm also feeling like times have changed so much that
Mm-hmm.
how you show up in the world is okay.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever think you would live long enough to see you being able to play Dennis Dupree in Rock of Ages, and there's no controversy, there's not a blink, nothing. It's like,
I,
okay.
you know what? No, I didn't. And plus, I never thought I'd be doing this. I didn't start acting till I was 27. I
Tell
worked
me about that.
juvenile. I went to college and majored in criminology, and I worked 4.5 years juvenile probation.
You
And so,
you probably put a lot of kids straight on
well,
the path to I
well,
can see. No, I can see if you were doing juvenile probation,
mhm.
I'm sure they didn't try you.
No, because I treated them how, and a lot of the problem is the kids. I mean, I was square with them. I treated them how I wanted them.
With respect and dignity.
Absolutely. And I got along with a lot of them, but you still never trust them. I worked 4.5 years locked down in a lockdown facility, and I not once had a problem. But there were other counselors that, well, you going to beat up a 110-pound kid because you got your
Because you
ass
can.
beat every day in high
Right.
school? You
Because
know
you
what I'm
can,
saying?
right.
Yeah, exactly. It didn't make sense. So I, there was a lot of stuff that happened that I'll never forget. I had to help cut down a kid who hanged himself, and that's something that I was 26 years old. I'll never forget that. You don't forget the smell. You don't forget anything. And one of my girls, Denisha Dickerson, she, God rest her soul, she was 16-year-old and was a prostitute, and she had a little baby, and her grandma would come see her every weekend with the baby, and she, they said she burnt a John, which she, tried to rip off the guy that was paying, and he killed her, and we went to the house where they found her in Fresno heat, where it was like 120 degrees, and she'd been there 2 weeks. And there's certain smells, and I grew up on a dairy where you smelled everything, and nothing ever bothered me. Now I have, like, I call it a low active gagger, where certain smells just make me have dry heaves. And it's something that you get over it and you get through it, but then there's that, I
Trigger.
don't, yeah, I don't want to say trigger because I don't go back to that.
Right, but
It's just for that
a tweet.
second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we're in a strange time.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's the best of times, it's the worst of times. Like it
Mm-hmm.
literally is Dixian. You saw some horrific things, and then you
Mm-hmm.
came out of it and created this fantastic life. What did you learn about the criminal justice system while you were in it with
It
these
was
young people, with these
frustrating.
kids who aren't fully
Yeah.
formed but
Right.
are under an adult hammer?
Right. I felt like it breaks your heart because, I love kids. And some of these kids, they didn't have a chance from the beginning. Some of them, like we had this one boy who was in, and he had been there for a few weeks, and then he got out. He was back that night because it was better being locked up than it was going home. He had 3 hots and a cot,
Right,
you
right.
know, and then I had another kid, amazing athlete, amazing. He was maybe 5'7" and could slam dunk and he was because they're doing push-ups
Like
the whole
Nate
time. Yeah,
Robinson. Yeah.
yes, he was amazing athlete, and because of the gang violence and stuff that was in Fresno, they, it's everywhere, but they went out and did a drive-by, and they were going to retaliate in this one area because one of this other gang had killed one of their boys the week before. And so they went to retaliate. Well, there was a big drug bust going on. So they just went driving around and did random drive-bys, and they killed 3 people and shot like 12. And he is, well, this is in the 80s, but he got sent to Pelican Bay for the rest of his life because at the time he was 16 and was, then you could be charged as an adult, and which
At
I believe is
16.
still now at 16.
If
And
you
he was this, I loved that kid, and in a sense of trust, I would have trusted. I trusted him. Do you know what I mean?
If
And
he
it's
had an
just a
opportunity to do better,
circumstance.
he would have been
Yeah,
better.
He would have been better. But then there was this other kid who his goal was to make it to San Quentin by the time he was 18 because his two uncles were running a mafia wing up there. And I'm like, so he killed a couple of people. And then I would have never, if I was the judge, I'd have never sent him there.
Right, because that's where he wanted to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, and he ended up going there. And it's like, and these kids were, I mean, they're not in a sense, they're a victim of circumstance, but they're also the environment that they're born into, you know? And some of the girls, it's like, one of the girls, gosh dang it, I'm sorry, I can't think of her name, but her mom, it's amazing. Her mama was like drugs and prostitution and you name it. Her mom was always locked up. So this baby girl was out on the street and her mom was teaching her how to do the same thing.
And stuff, yeah.
She ended up, and she was a good kid. And I always told her, I said, you don't have to do this, you know? And, you know, you don't realize what, you know, how much words mean and how precious they are. And I take what I say to people very seriously because of, you know, it could mean something. And she got it together. She became a lawyer and she wrote a book and the fact, and she mentioned me in it and brought that up. And I was like,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Is there something that we as a society can do differently? Like if you could have a magic wand, what would you change based on your experience being in that situation?
To me, God, we're all the same. We all got the same dreams in a sense. You know what I mean? We all want to be successful. We want to be happy. We want to live. We want to love. And I'm a huge lover. And by lover, I mean I love everybody until there's reason not to. But it's like, and I say it a lot because I know how fast it can be taken from you. And it means something. And just to, there's so much nonsense and stuff that doesn't have to be going on that, you know, we're destroying ourselves.